a few other things, mainly focused upon the soul. And I want to give it a little focus on what's known as the solar plex. Yeah, the place of there are a number of chakras in a person in certain mystical teachings like Tibetan Buddhism or Buddhism and Hinduism and other forms. They focus upon the fact that there are these spiritual centers, chakras, that are located within the body, going from the base of the spine going up to the top of the head, the very top of the head. And these are known as chakras, and each one has a direct connection to a certain level of spiritual understanding. They represent what's known as the seven rays, and the seven rays makes up all of creation, and it's also the workings of the mind of God. It's the palette that God uses to create life and sustain life, and it's omnipresent, it's omniscience, it's omniscience, it's manifested through the mind of God, and the mind of God is the monad. So the monad is expressed in ways that is rarely ever understood in mind, in human understanding. But it leads us to an inkling of knowing that God exists. That there's this constant impression coming from the monad that is constant, and it gives us the reality that God exists because it's literally permeating everything in life. But we can't witness it because it's so high and it's so low. It permeates the very center of every atom, but yet it comes from the highest level of spiritual awareness. So that's locked inside of every atom. Doesn't matter what atom, where the atom is located, it's locked in. So the monad is what it expresses. It's the energy that expresses. So it invokes. It through its own creation, it invokes and it initiates. It brings about change. It teaches. Without you knowing that you're being taught. Without you knowing that there's a working out of a plan in this world where everything seems to be out of control. And we can't make a lot of sense of it. But surrounding it, and all of it, is the reality of God. And located inside the chakras is a communication relationship that happens with God, because God uses only those chakras in order to relate. It doesn't use your lower mind. It doesn't do anything to help you make sense of something. That's understanding. That's co-creation. That has to do with your cognitive ability to take the time to learn a little bit of something and recognize and have that keep coming back around. And it's because you're filled with this wisdom that things start making sense. And you're getting an inkling of being able to be taught, by God. But it's at higher and higher and higher levels. And in each chakra is how you get taught. So let's say that spiritually, everybody knows that there are 7 chakras. If you've studied it or learned about it, there are 7 chakras. There are minor chakras. We won't go there. But the 7 chakras, they connect to locations in the body that are aligned to your organs and your glands. So the base center, it's aligned to the very, very lower aspect of your spine and your ability to feel things that are happening right here and now. Very present of the moment. Extreme sensitivity and awareness. is present there. It's possibly present. And as a human being or an animal or a plant, yeah, or anything, those chakras gives you intuition. They give you instincts and help you communicate. Yeah. So you, from that chakra, you can communicate with the earth. Yeah. It's a chakra that represents the earth. Yeah. So the next chakra up is one that represents relationships and how you relate to everything on earth, every single thing, yeah? And how that has a direct correlation to sustaining you, yeah? Providing you life, yeah? From smelling things to feeling things to sensing things to every aspect of everything, seeing things, all your senses are brought into clarity through that center. Yeah, it's called the sacral center. Yeah, and it's also the center of personal relationship. Yeah, how you interrelate at a higher level or even a lower level. You know, you can attune to plants and animals and actually communicate and know the difference between poison and, you know, healthy and unhealthy, and your instincts, yeah, could warn you in that relationship, just like they do animals. There's no books that animals read. You know, it all comes from that sacral center. And animals have a strong sacral center. And they have a very strong base center. Yeah. And you could sense it in looking at an animal or witnessing an animal, but you can do the same when you witness corn. Or if you witness a flower and watch it go from a seed to sprouting leaves, you know, and then a bud, you know, and then what's that going to go, you know, and then there's a flower, and if you're really, really totally in an amazing world, it turns into a fruit, you know, and then out comes more seeds, you know, and it's just real reality, but it's so overwhelmingly amazing, you know, and that's the monad. The monad is expressing, and the monad is so beautiful as the creator. And this isn't Mother Nature. This is God, the Creator, is radiating to every single element, every existing element, His rays, His chakras. Yeah, and everything. You wonder, where does these flowers come from? How is it possible? You know, we have wonderful streams. You know, how could dinosaurs have lived and gone, and all of life exists the way it is for billions of years? It's the chakras that comes from the Lord. The Lord's been on earth since the beginning of time. And there's witness to it. Yeah. And when things are at a certain level in the Lord's chakras to radiating to the planet, then there's only certain chakras that are functioning on the planet, because the planet has chakras. Yeah. In the beginning, the planet had one continent. Yeah. One solid continent. Yeah. You know, so God divided those continents into 7 rays, creating nations, yeah, manifestations of elemental control through God's grace. You know, like He says, you know, you can move mountains. You know, just imagine, you know, this is done by a singular entity. Yeah, just by witnessing through the earth, through relationship, through traveling, yeah, and seeing the harm things we're going through, the process the earth goes through, the devastating scenario the earth is in, and the need for everything to be what it is today in its manifestation comes from the planetary logos, sending these rays out. So all of a sudden we start getting certain animals in the ocean, and we start getting an enormous amount of life manifesting on earth very quickly, and at the same time, those animals are manifesting a psychic energy to give energy into the earth so that the continents could be moved. This is done by the animals in co-relationship to the Lord. Yeah, yeah. This is truth. This is, you know, it's a better story than the Bible, eh? You know, but it's in the Bible. You know, if you took time to read it. And it just takes a long time for each of these things to happen. But it says right in the beginning, the Lord created this world. Yeah. And then it goes you through the stages. On day 1, Day one, That day lasted millions and billions of years. Yeah. And in each cycle was a chakra. And there were 7 cycles. Yeah. And that's when they hit the crown. And the crown touched the earth. Yeah. And it manifested himself in a physical form on the earth as Adam. Yeah. And all those chakras were in form coming out of the earth, from dirt to plants to animals to everything of every kingdom being manifest into Adam. Every single thing. And it was just a recapitulation of the Creator. Self-realizing, self-creating, thought form building. Yeah, just a matter of magnetic attraction that happened from the heart center awakening in the earth as God created all the chakras to come together, and when they did, they manifested as a human being known as Adam. Yeah, and that put law on the planet. That put everything on the planet. Everybody who lived from that moment on was a child of Adam. Went into the book of God, and God could read exactly what is going on earth, every single thing, and have no disconnection whatsoever in the relationship of the plan. Where before that, there was an enormous amount of evil and upheaval, manifestation of fallen angels and other ungodly realities that were manifesting, creating disasters on earth and situations that were constant, from monsters to giants to you name it. It existed, and it coexisted along with God's plan. And that wasn't God's plan. That was the inhibiting of God's plan, usurping the same elements that should be working in cooperation with God. And they turned into lunar lords and lunar forces that manifested into glamours. Yeah. So by the time humanity came into play and animals came into their full existence, there existed glamours. And glamours was inhibited only by the relationship with the Lord. They were held at bay. So that was known as paradise. But yet everywhere else there was glamours. Everywhere. And after the relationship of there no longer being a paradise, no longer being a sacred point, then all there was the constant reincarnation of the patriarchs of Adam that maintained light on earth for about 1,000 years, 900 years, 800 years at a time. Maintaining direct bloodline lineage of the Lord as the children of the Lord, the existing children of the Lord. And there may be only 100 out of the whole planet. And that manifested co-creative qualities, moving the planet into co-creative qualities. But it didn't bring the chakras into humanity. The chakras were still in a state of evolution. The chakras were fulfillment in Adam, but not fulfillment in all of the earth and in all of humanity and the overcoming of the fallen aspects of angels, which radiate the same chakras, the same spiritual energy in an exact opposite form. And it's the Dark Lodge, and it coexists. So it's these chakras that make the difference. We could think, we could change this or we could do that, but the truth is, it's in the chakras. And it's really located in the solar plex. Talked about the base center, the sacral center, but now when you get to the solar plex, you get to a location that literally becomes the place in which you can identify the Lord. You have a personal relationship with the Lord. Your base center is that you can feel and sense all the energy that's coming from the earth. That's the Lord. And it's highly spiritual. It's linked, and you're human. So you have a soul. And your body is a vessel to receive that, starting from your base center. It fills it up there. When you feel the harmony, despite the conflict, it's because of the Lord. The Lord sees you through it because of the Holy Spirit. And that's filling your vessel. Yeah, that's coming from the monad of the Lord, the Holy Spirit. Yeah, and then there's the love of the Lord. Yeah, and that surrounds you in a protective understanding. You know, where your mind is able to conquer your emotional body. But if your mind can't conquer your emotional body, then you get a lower mind, and you start channeling. Yeah, and those chakras start becoming direct frequencies of what's known as the astral plane. And that all comes out of the solar plex. Not the other chakras, just the solar plex. Yeah? So if you study the solar plex, it's the one where you can witness the Lord because you have a psychic ability through the other two chakras of being on earth, being a child of God and having a soul and relating to everything in a harmonious way, doing no harm. You know, that's your nature. And as that comes up to you witnessing the Lord, then all of a sudden you have no guilt. You have no shame. Yeah? There's nothing in that lower chakra that you did that was harmful. There's nothing in that next chakra up that you might have done in a relationship that was harmful. Yeah? But if those two chakras have been tempted and brought into a bad situation, like your mom may be a hateful person, or your dad could be a certain way, or your teacher could be a certain way, or some relationship throughout your life comes in and causes you harm, and you can't get over it because you lose trust. Yeah? You lose your ability to move forward. Yeah? Because you simply can't trust the world you're in, or yourself. You lose that constantly as you're moving on. And that's that fourth ray. You had to have had control over that fourth ray to receive the blessings of the Lord that's coming from the monad, which is really high, and you have to stay high to receive those impressions. And if you go low, you lose those impressions, and that chakra changes dramatically. Yeah. It sees things like a conspiracy. It starts seeing things as though there's some phenomenon going on and you better sacrifice a child. It sees things as though, oh, the stars are controlling us, you know, and we need to study astrology in order to have control over our own life. Yeah, it's lower psychicism weeding in, coming in, into those very, 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 they're provided chakras, you know. You're receiving fruit and vegetables and life, yeah. All of it is provided, yeah. But when you receive this lower psychicism, you go into a conspiracy, and you can't see what you should be seeing, and you have it's because there's an environment down at the fourth ray that's lying to you, yeah. That sets you up, and it's completely, constantly keeps setting you up, because it's putting out a different chakra, a different ray at that chakra than what should be there from the Lord. It should be the fourth ray, but it's not. It's the seventh ray. It's sex magic and money magic. It's black magic being done, you know, in humanity. And as they begin that process, they have to use the same chakras and turn them upside down and force them into vices rather than virtues. And when they do that, chakra drops to a lower level. Yeah? And all of a sudden, the world is in an astral plane, in a conspiracy, in an illusion. And we can't get out of it. We cannot do math, really. We can't really hardly do engineering. We can hardly do, because we come up against a wall of illusion in a mindset that says, no, that's not possible. This is possible. What we can do today is possible, but beyond that's not possible. You know, there's a freaking wall. Yeah. The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, is what is possible. Yeah. the whole thing. Yeah, and that's the gift of the monad. It comes all the way in, all the way down to the base, all the way up, as a child, as an animal, yeah, as an instinct, as an intuition, yeah. And that way, but you have to be in an environment that is conducive to the truth, yeah. And if a person is in a conspiracy, in other words, paranoid and thinking everybody else is out after them, you know, having conspiracy thoughts, which misuses your chakras, all of a sudden, your sacral center, yeah, which is your relationship center, and it's the center that you're supposed to be everybody's best friend, turns to the opposite. Now you gossip, you know, and you have a conspiracy going on. I think they're doing that against me. I think this is all set up. You know, I don't know what's going on, but I really don't trust them. Yeah, all those elements, they come from below. They don't come from up here. They come from below. Yeah, and they are all energies that's coming from your throat center that should be moving your energy up. Yeah, in the way just by being a friend. Yeah, but it's that opposite thing, which then leads to jealousy and enviousness and all the things that are the symptoms of the vices. They start there, yeah, and they just become our character, and we can't get rid of them. Yeah, we're addicted to something, whether it be food. Yeah, we're addicted to a habit. You know, all of that is the same thing. Yeah, the essence of being able to have even just the base center working correctly. Yeah, but it's caused by misdirected element, karma. Yeah, yeah. There's no teacher. There's no higher form of right relationship. You know, so we run to a church, or we run to a guru, or we run to a book, or we run to whatever in order to find direction. Yeah, and that's all because we have all these things missing from our nature, which is the existence of God on earth. Yeah, and all those things, all those questions, all those elements that they cannot be misdirected. They can't be persuaded. Yeah, yeah, because all those things are elements. They're elements, and they come from chakras. Yeah, and it's all a matter of dark lodge and white lodge. Yeah, so imagine this is the time of Christ. There's an influence of being able to change that influence focused on the solar plex, yeah, which is where all of society is at. Yeah, every nation is in the solar plex. Every country, every nation, every culture, every man and woman, you know, or other gender changes, all due to the solar plex. No other chakra causes any of those things to happen other than the solar plex. Yeah. So somewhere along the line, we're being deeply influenced by breaking down our psyche. Yeah. Our psychological well-being, our psychological connection to the earth. Yeah, our ability to eat correctly, yeah, without guilt. Everything from the fourth ray up is based on guilt because we cannot get light into ourselves. We're not sure if we're eating the right thing. Yeah, so it just receives 1/10 of the light it should get from the love of knowing. You know, when you aren't doing the right thing because you've instilled in yourself wisdom. Yeah. And you learn from that relationship. And it goes up and up and up. Yeah? It takes higher and higher relationships to the actual Lord before these things change. Yeah? So imagine the solar plex has a dominant quality that leads people into who we vote for. Yeah? How we're going to make a choice as to who we're aligned to. Yeah, and that's a big thing, yeah, because that also means, you know, are we going to choose to be a Muslim or are we going to choose to be a Catholic? Are we going to choose to be a Baptist or are we going to choose to be a Protestant? Yeah, are we going to choose the Navy or the Army or the military? You know, Are we going to choose to be a great football player and no other sport? Or are we going to try all the different sports? Yeah. At what level are we going to gain our fanaticism? Yeah. Because it's so sixth ray. Everything in life is based on being directed by a chakra that's not supposed to be directing us. Yeah. Doing the exact opposite. We're requesting it to do. Yeah. Where it should be sitting in meditation. Like a mirror, calmly, like a lake, creating a complete, beautiful mirror. And then that mirror just shines right up into the heart. Yeah? It's shining up into the heart because it receives the light of the heart and it reflects it back. But to do that, it has to be nothing. Yeah? That's the purpose of the solar plex. That's what you are when you're with God. You get that experience. You just go, oh boy. Because you cannot go to that level. Yeah. It's awesome. It's inspiring. It's all these things that the chakras trigger. They initiate those thoughts. And they come from the solar plex of reverence. Yeah. But you got to have purity to get that solar plex to work correctly, because what if you're a worrywart? Yeah? What if you're a worrywart of any kind, of even the littlest bit? That means you're down there at the base center. That's it. That's your life. That's your existence. And you're pumping elements of negativity and impurity into the earth and up from the earth. This is called lower terrestrial forces. Yeah? And pulling those up into relationships. And that becomes jealousy or enviousness or suspicion or a lack of self-esteem. Yeah, no worth whatsoever. Identifying other people, not having and losing identity day by day by day by day. Yeah. When in reality, it's all about appreciation. Yeah. Each chakra connects you into the reality of appreciation. Yeah. But you have to have reverence, which triggers those elements to have that experience. Yeah. Because we have no idea anything about elements, because we're all locked in to these lower chakras down at the very base. And most of our worry is about relationships, whether it be money, or people, or places, or time, or am I going to die? Am I getting sick? It doesn't go much further than that. It's just you and something else, and how you worry about that. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? And that's a chakra thing. It's a chakra thing. This is all Buddhism. This is all Christianity. Yeah? Everything I'm explaining. Yeah? And if you understand this, then you can better understand the bigger picture. Yeah? That the Lord is working on the nations. The nations. And now look at the nations. And they're chakra shit. They're crazier than crap. And they're all worried. And they're so irreverent, to their people, to their circumstances. Yeah. Their queen to their people, parliament to their people, senators to their people. Yeah. All of it. This whole thing of delusionary hierarchy. Where we put all this energy, that's being forced into this, to believe that is what the system is. This is where we get our support. This is where, and then we're in this, where we're at today, we're finding, hey, they're not going to pay our rent. We're going to be kicked out on the street. We don't have insurance, and they're taking insurance away. We don't have much of anything, because after a while, they're just going to keep complaining about spending money, and yet they're putting trillions and trillions of dollars into military might, of missiles and nuclear war and everything. They boast on it. But at the same time, they were going to give trillions to Americans, but now they're talking about billions. And they're going down from 30 million down to maybe 10 million or billion. And they won't even help people. They're just going to try and focus on the post office. Yeah, these are all things that you get that is only related to your sacral center and your base center. That's it. Nothing stimulating you whatsoever in life that goes to the higher centers. Nothing. That's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah? That's lack of freedom. Your freedom comes from the 7 rays, 7 chakras. Your enlightenment comes from awakening every single one of those rays and every single one of your chakras to the point to where they're pure and you're a human. You have your chakras functioning as a normal human being. Yeah? Which makes you enlightened. Yeah? And it's the goal of every saint. It's the goal of every bodhisattva, bodhisattva, Buddha. Yeah? There's a science involved in it, and it's not God in the machine or anything. It's just that God gives us this gift. It's a gift. It is set in stone. Yeah? We cannot destroy God's gift. It's going to happen. Yeah? Whether you like it or not, you will evolve into this. Yeah? And you will be enlightened. Yeah? And your suffering will go away because your solar plex is pure. And the 2 chakras below it are no longer making it impure. Because weird shit happens. You wonder how it is you can't understand higher mind. And that's because one of the major chakras right up here in the brow is drawn down. Yeah, down into your sacral center, a place that doesn't exist. But it could be put there by black magic and sex magic and money magic. Yeah, and it orients us to see through a delusionary mirror. And we look out and we go, whoa, king, queen, wow, man. Whoa, Dalai Lama must be a holy god. Pope. Whoa. Truly, everything they say got to be true. Because you only got a couple chakras going on. And they're using the upper chakras, the ones called capitalism, or greed, yeah, or fame and fortune. Yeah. We're way at the top. They all look like they're the singular rarest people on the planet. There's only one Pope, only one Dalai Lama, only one president. Yeah. Yeah. Just singular. Yeah. As though they're so important. Yeah. Patriarchal in a way. But it's just a delusionary thing. We're being moved to put faith into something that is oriented in a way that it could turn into God's plan. Yeah? If it goes into the light. And we move this chakra, this solar plex chakra, and we as the mass of humanity, which these people who stand as queen and king and pope and doop-a-doo, they are by numbers of just 1,000 or so. And compared to gazillions of people who all are free from that. Yeah? They're all free. All they need is the healing of that sacral center so that they can go from sacral center and have it begin to reflect up. And it begins healing the lower centers. And that means it heals the nations. Yeah, it heals the nations. Yeah, it heals even North Korea. It heals even Russia. Yeah. But it's all based on chakras. And the nations have chakras. Everything has chakras. So it's a matter of time in the process of Christ. Yeah? There's no way I could sit here and tell you any date or time or sequence because there's a working out of a plan. And it's all about the cooperation of these elements through these chakras, through the nations. And as they transmute and transform, it becomes soulful integration. It's natural. It's nature. It's just like a flower from a seed to a flower. It's integration, yeah? And then there's transfiguration and transformation, like a butterfly, yeah? They're real in nature. They're real in existence. And it's part of our reality, yeah? Metamorphosis, yeah? The evil piece of shit world, yeah, that exists today can be metamorphosis, yeah? And the highways and everything, you know. You come back 2,000 years later and there's no highways or anything. There's trees, waterways, fish, and people fishing. Yeah. It's incredible. There's more animals than you can ever imagine. Yeah. And it's peaceful. You know, and we have no wrong relationship to what we eat and how we eat it. We hunt, we gather. We live in minimalistic lives, and we drive electric cars or fly electric cars in the most advanced world you could ever imagine. Yeah. And we're not in utopia. Yeah. We're in chakras that are functioning. And it's mainly because these higher technologies that are being moved into the world are parts of the elements of the monad. They're the mind of God. They're there for you to experience and witness, and they're blessings that come from the Holy Spirit. They only exist because God chooses them to be your gift to raise you out of your dilemma that you can't figure a way out. You know, you want to change senators so that they won't bring coal mines. That's not going to do it. You got to raise the consciousness, bring in brand new children who sees new technologies that take the place of coal mines. Yeah, and bring in hundreds of thousands of other little children that incarnate to become workers in those new industries of mega factories and mega technologies and solar and wind, and in every way. No way should it be existing, according to Trump. Yeah, according to the way it is and the way it wants to stay. Yeah, and those are just chakras. So these things that we think are things are not things. They're blessings. Yeah? And every time you bring one of these blessings from above into your life, you enter paradise. Yeah? You enter a realm in which you're bringing the fourth ray back into the earth. By harmony through conflict, you have solar, you have a small house, you're doing all these things. They're just manifesting into your life. A working out of your life is working out of God's plan. Yeah? And it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes change. Yeah? And that's how the sixth ray begins to open up, because it starts receiving the soul that's coming from Christ, who's walking the earth, who's creating all these things, and you can't see them because your fifth ray is down here, and he's using the fifth ray up here in telepathy and manifestation. Yeah? And instead of seeing the revelation, you're seeing a conspiracy. Yeah? And you're thinking Trump is like, you know, going to save you from this horrible conspiracy. Yeah? Where he's the maker of the conspiracy. Yeah? It's a, you know. In the end, we'll all read this because there are hundreds of books coming out right now, you know, that say all the same thing. And they're going to keep coming, and movies are going to keep coming, because this is the biggest joke that ever happened. Yeah? And there's more and more, you know, all of the propaganda reality of Russia and China and other countries that try and manipulate your mind to have you vote in certain ways, to have you hate in certain ways, to have you have this solar plex you have. They're all irritating your fourth ray. They're all irritating your sacral center. Yeah? Because they're misbehaving, and they're one of us. Yeah? And when people are out there doing that, whether it be cyber shit or stealing or whatever they're doing, that is corruption, and they know it. They're turning a wheel against humanity. Yeah? So everybody has to really understand everything is a blessing, and we have to really start looking at life as prasadam. Yeah? We have to think in a higher mind, you know, and let go of any frustration, let go of anything that brings on, you know, worry or anxiety or a sense of jealousy or enviousness or comparativeness of any kind. Yeah, because they're just symptoms. And if those symptoms are there, you're elementally bringing these things up. And that's what you're offering into life, which will turn into a conspiracy in masses of other people's lives. And maybe not yours, but we are all one. So as long as we're having these experiences, purpose of meditation or my teaching is to help people move these lower chakras to a place where you can have harmony, where you can have right relationship, and you can have reverence. Those are normal things that will heal you. So I pass out my tools. I hand out my music. I build Shambhala. And I give these teachings. So that the energy that comes from the fifth ray, if you look at all my tools, geometric tools, manifestations of forms, the highest side of fifth ray, second ray is sacred geometry. The very highest side of it. Understanding the pyramid, understanding quarks, understanding physics, understanding time and light. All those things all come from fifth ray, second ray. And everything has a soul. Everything is complemented. So every time any chakra is connected to the heart, it has its highest awakening of expression. So fifth ray, second ray is being expressed when you come across my work. So that takes you out of your sacral center, and all of a sudden you're now up here, and you're doing this intuitively because you have no build-up to having this kind of teaching. It's all new. But what it does is that it gives you freedom. It takes that fifth ray and puts it back up here, which forces the lower chakras to go back into alignment. And you can begin to relate to yourself and other people in ways that have to do with harmony and peace and reverence. All three things are things that you're missing. And it's all about the elements that are stuck in your chakras that are abundant in those energies. If you meditate, you'll get peace. But you'll also get reverence. And you'll also get a sense of, I am connected to God. Relationship. And then that makes you look at every single thing, your food, your people, your place, your circumstances. Wow, they're with God too. Well, that's totally different. And you can't really see it like that. Even if the person is an asshole, you can see through that and not be hit so bad by the disdain, the terrible behavior, and all the things that comes out of that person, and you just don't feel attracted to hang out with them. And that becomes harmless. You're just supporting, and you're reacting, you're responding, you're being moved. So all your truth is now moving you down another path. And that's because your chakras are moving that way. So all the tools, all of this stuff helps to align people in that way. And it can protect you from what goes on in the world. So if we look at now, in our regular society with a guy like Trump, making things the way he does, he loves conspiracies. He just loves it, And there's some pretty weird conspiracies out there. One of them is one where they believe that vampires are everywhere, and that it's all Satan, but it's controlled of everything, and that conspiracy is going to be stopped by Trump himself, and that he's like an overlord of, I don't know what you call it, but there's a lot of movies based on a character like this that just goes out like Rambo, but that's in the fictitious mind, deluded mind of a conspirator, where this guy's a fat, lazy guy who can hardly walk down a road, he's not a Rambo, And you know, you know, and he's constantly saying, I just want to kill people. I'm going to show you that. I just want to kill people. He just says, you know, if someone was against me, I'd just take my gun out and shoot them. In the old days, we used to do that. We'd just shoot them. And he'd go on and off over and over and over, you know, how, you know, we have to bring back the death penalty, you know, because people got to die faster. You know, like, you know, if a person is committed of any crime that you think that they should have a death penalty, they're taken out of the chair after they've been committed, and they're taken into a room, and they're given a shot, and they die within 5 minutes. That's his idea. Yeah. Save money. Save money. There's a lot of money to be saved. Yeah. And then he goes, and I learned this from the Russians. And I learned this from the Chinese, and I learned this from Korea. And he says, yeah, my example is the Chinese. I asked them, how do they get rid of drug in their country? Oh, we kill them. Yeah, death penalty. He said, yeah, I agree. You know, so he uses these dictators as his example. And then he says, but I don't know if America's ready for this. Like, are you ready to evolve to the Trump level? Yeah. Are you ready to go back to coal? Yeah. Are you ready to rip out your solar? Get rid of all your wind generators? Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where his mind's at. Yeah. So check this out. This is the conspiracy. His people.
A bizarre conspiracy theory has taken root firmly on the fringes of the American right.
Where we go one, we go home. Where we go one, we go home.
These people are taking an oath to QAnon, a mishmash of conspiracy theories which holds Donald Trump as the savior of the world. And they hold some disturbing views.
The pandemic wasn't real, and the race war isn't real.
It's creeping into the mainstream of political conversations.
Just this past weekend, Trump retweeted QAnon dozens of times.
And it's tearing families apart.
The person I knew as my mother is probably not coming back.
Newsnight has seen data that shows a huge spike in interest in this conspiracy theory during the pandemic. But what is QAnon? Followers believe that a cabal of pedophiles runs the United States. They control the media, Hollywood, and politicians, and the only person that can stop them is Donald Trump.
Hi.
Hey Steph, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing excellently.
Travis View has been researching this phenomenon since its early days.
The most far out of these beliefs say that celebrities and political elites actually farm children in underground caves so that they can drink blood, which supposedly staves off aging.
QAnon has become a sort of cult of President Trump, and in the months since the pandemic, it's seen a surge in its appeal.
The only reason I have this red hat on right now, which I still feel like an idiot sometimes wearing it, it's because I believe that this is a real thing.
Fake news, fake press.
Nick Natoli is one of them. He discovered QAnon about a year and a half ago, but he started sharing his views as the pandemic hit the US. He can spend up to 16 hours a day online researching conspiracies.
JFK was definitely murdered by CIA. You're taking it from someone who's got JFK on their arm. 9/11 was an inside job. People in our government who are working towards a deep state, who are trying to keep us controlled.
Children are being harvested, children are being farmed for adrenochrome by celebrities and politicians. Do you subscribe to that?
Not outlandish at all. Reptilian aliens, the Epstein connection. MK Ultra is a huge one.
This is conspiracy overload for me. I'm not sure I'm ready for it. Is there a conspiracy theory that you don't believe in?
That's a great question. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But what QAnon is just an amalgamation of all of the greatest conspiracy theories thrown into one big belief. I've only been actively posting it.
And
don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much, which I appreciate. I have heard that it is gaining in popularity, and I've heard these are people that love our country.
Kind of neat. And this is his work in the Arctic that's coming up.
The record of decision today by the Department of Interior is another step in a 40-plus year process for the majority of Alaskans who have supported development in this small area of the coastal plain.
They are now promising with this decision to sell leases to the oil and gas industry before the end of the year. And that really means opening up this beautiful, untouched landscape to industrialization, to oil and gas drilling that would inevitably harm it and potentially destroy it in a way that just isn't in line with who we are as a country. This drilling that would exacerbate climate change would take place in one of the few remaining pristine ecosystems on the planet. It's home to polar bears and grizzly bears and Arctic fox and over 200 species of birds, which is why the vast majority of Americans want to see it protected. So even for the Trump administration, this is a particularly bad move.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what is in the influence of our fourth ray. That's the earth. The earth, yeah? And the earth is a chakra. It's a chakra of the planetary logos. Imagine the planetary logos' chakra goes out through our solar system and into the cosmos of the Milky Way. Milky Way is his crown center. Yeah. So, that's a big difference. But it is the reason why all this is such a cosmic thing. Yeah. It's a galactical thing. Yeah. It's cosmic astral evil. Yeah, it's forces that are greater than just, like in a movie, it's bigger. It's wilder. It's more insane. Yeah. And yet it's not out of control. It's in a state in which the point of evolution is at a tilting point where things move, and they have to be moved in a force. They're forced to move. They're not in a state of cooperation. So during that process of the tipping state, the worst of shit comes up. You hire Trump, and he gets rid of everything. Everything starts looking like it's going to get a little better. And then all of a sudden Trump comes along, and now coal mines and nuclear and everything is coming back, and nuclear bombs are at an edge, and we have no economy, and he had no idea on how to deal with the pandemic. So all of those things affect your fourth ray, and they affect your sacral center, and they affect your solar plex. Because you're called into this system to use this solar plex to have faith in your president. This is where loyalty comes from. On the lower side, it's loyalty. Rather than faith and reverence and all that stuff. When it falls, and it falls hard, it first comes up with loyalty. And it misuses, it dresses up like a priest, or dresses up like something that you would want to be loyal to, whether it be an officer or someone in the military or a pope or a priest, or there is an aspect that has to be done in order for you to give authority. and allow your reverence to be triggered. So clothing has to come in, behavior, words, all these things have to come into play, because this is in reality, it's about chakras. And you're being played like an instrument, and you can't do anything about it. Not really. Because this is a response. And the influence of that sixth ray quality has to do with, we have to stay calm. We need to see and hear some alternative teachings that gives us truth, so that we can not be loyalty driven to the Dark Lodge that may be going on at the time. And it's always going on. We can go back 100 years and we'll find it. We can go back 50 years and we'll find it. You just go back, and you'll find it everywhere, and it actually was thicker and worse. We have been deeply evolved to a point to where we can make a difference. So it's really about whether or not reverence begins to radiate out of humanity, and trigger the ability to change that fifth ray of conspiracy thinking and delusion and an imagination that comes from the solar plex, also comes from the fourth ray. Because if you can imagine, the fourth ray is the one that invents what does the devil look like. The fourth ray invents, what is hell? What is heaven? It invents what is perfect harmony. What is it I like or don't like? Why is it I like this and don't like that? It's triggered right there at the fourth ray. And you have your own personal likes and dislikes. So there's no pure way to be able to come to, like this mere perfect reflection, so that you could pick up what it is that's coming at you. So you can discern from it and not be affected by it. It just carries out what it's doing, like Trump. And all of a sudden, out comes Biden, and out comes this lady, and people become more aware of the fact that, yes, there are many blessings in the world. The electric car, and many other things, new technologies, all these things that we could be moving into, rather than thinking that we need to continue with militant warlike scenarios between states and getting rid of Democrats. Every Democrat that exists has to be gotten rid of, according to this group, according to this reality, as though that is where these demons lie. They're the Democrats. They're the ones they're talking about. And that's like, good God, that's crazier than shit. So there's a matter of reverence that's being permeated into this reality. And how to get that to manifest is extremely difficult. So I use humor. Here's one.
Hence, you gotta stop saying you get your policy ideas from me. You're making me look like a jerk. Hey, get back here! Stop ignoring me! Come here, you... Oh, nice save. Very smooth. It's not like there are literally 1,000 cameras.
I like that one. Very subtle, but to the point. It is what it is, folks. And the last thing on earth, the last thing in all of existence, the very last thing any of these demons want anybody to know is that I'm here. And that despite all their fanfare and their elections and their power struggles and their ruling of nations and all of that, they're not in charge of it. And that this is a long time job. This isn't a short-term job. This is a very long-time job. And I've been effective in this for a good long period of time. And I've made major changes that would have never existed. And we're moving through more and more changes that are going to continue coming. And no matter whether this is my first recognized life or my 19th recognized life. And we're somewhere in 2,500. Yeah, and the world is dramatically different in every possible way. And we're actually building relationships like my monastery all over Earth in order to heal the nations and bring about a purification of the rays and the chakras on all levels in every continent. Yeah? And then once that's established, we lock the door on the relationship of fallen angels and any existing characteristic coming from other planets that we should be afraid of. Yeah? We don't want fallen angels from other locations coming in here when we're so weak already. Yeah, we have that going on. And I'm working overtime in order to keep us from that relationship. Yeah. Yeah. So there's, within the next 20 to 30 years, there's more and more and more in the healing of things rather than the devastation of things. And it's that energy that's going to heal our lower chakras. Yeah, because we can't pick up the prophetic reality of the future. But we can through my work. Yeah, because I transmit it. Yeah, and I teach it. Yeah. And I'm the one who stays in existence for enormously long periods of time, from incarnation to incarnation. So I fulfill a plan. Yeah, and I change things to the point to where we reform. Yeah, and it could take thousands of years to bring about reform. Yeah, it's not like changing from Republican to Democratic. Yeah, it's real reform. It's real healing. Yeah, it's evolutionary existence and being able to express that existence unilaterally throughout the planet and then carry that law outwardly. When we go to any other place, when we go to the moon, when we go to Mars, we go there as enlightened beings who carry light. And technologies we bring are blessings. Yeah? And we are bringing an enormous amount of light into the worlds, yeah, wherever we go, rather than this confusing. Imagine we enter someplace and come across extraterrestrials, and they're so psychic and they pick up, people are on the edge of nuclear war. I don't know if I want to know you. You're scary. Yeah? No matter how nice they are. Any one of us, they're going to pick up all of us. They're going to pick up our plan. They're going to pick up what we do and what we can do. Yeah. And there's no fellowship in that. That's why they don't make themselves available. That's why they don't, make a complete, fourth level of contact. Yeah. Yeah. We're in a scenario to where, these influences that we have today are within, I think, within the next 8 months, due to the election and due to people's change, that we have a great deal of opportunity, to move from, hearing this rhetoric every single day and having President Idiot Face, on the news and saying the things he does and just making you feel so, irreverent. You can't turn the news on. You can't think we have a future. There's no way, other than digging a hole, and going off into the woods on your own and thinking this all will die out or not, but I don't want to be a part of it. A lot of people are going to want to do that, if such a thing was to happen, which I don't believe is going to happen, so the other side's going to come out of it. We're going to start hearing things that we want to hear. We're going to start seeing jobs made available. We have Tesla doing a mega factory. There's going to be 50 mega factories, super mega factories, manifested in the next 10 years. 50 of them, all throughout the United States, bringing new technologies and advancements all throughout the United States. And where we don't have to buy shit from everywhere. You can buy it from locally, and we train the same thing to happen in every other country. Make your own shit. Invent it. Put Put it out. Be good. Do the right thing. Pay everybody correctly. And it's just being a wayshore is the process of this next process. And it's what America does. And we're the most blessed because of my incarnation and because of the process of me incarnating the new group of world servers into America. So we get these mega factories first. We get these new projects first. We find things from all over the world, and then we synthesize them and bring them here and really hone them down into something really useful and functional. So there's an enormous creativity that's going to flow from a bridge that used to be a very, very far away bridge between the hierarchy and humanity. And the new group of world servers is going to make a bridge through their offering process of offering jobs, new forms of life, lifestyle, everything. How you're going to get your money, where you're going to get your money, whether or not you're going to have insurance, all of that will be more solved within humanity rather than over a government, thinking that you need this or you need that. And if we have the right people in, then we have people who are gazillionaires who are paying the majority of taxes. And we don't give a shit if they move. We will foster other companies to stay and do their business here, and that will be the way it is. But you can't pander with people who are corrupt in the first place and are just willing to do that sort of thing. So it's really about, if we get taxes correct and we get the richest of the rich to put their money where it needs to be, to support free medicine, free, health, better housing for everybody, free housing for people who can't afford it, and not cheap shit, but real new life-changing realities. That will change our two chakras. It'll give us harmony where we have conflict. And we're blinded because we don't see the conflict. We're not going to do anything about it. We don't feed the hungry. We don't do homeless. We don't do any of it right. And that's all going to turn around over the next 10 years. And that is just going to shut the door on people who are alive today who don't give a shit. And those people are going to die because the people who are doing things right are newborn people who are 30 and 40 and moving into 50. They're going to live for quite a while as the rest of them die off. So a whole new phase of incarnated reality is coming into play. And over the next 30 to 50 years, there'll be hardly any Dark Lodge left on the planet. There'll be a whole bunch of sweethearts. Even North Korea, even China. No matter how dense it really is, it's really a matter about the masses of people who are of the soul. And if those masses of people incarnate in the soul and trigger an awakening just below them, the new group of world servers could trigger an awakening just below them. It raises those masses up out of tyranny. Because the first two initiations are held down by tyranny. And we live in it all our lives. We never know God exists. We never know that we're supposed to be spiritual. We never know. We're lifelong. We're monks and nuns. We're born that way. There's no other way out of it. But we have no teaching, no reality to it. So we're going to move two phases that'll be like that. So we have another scenario to where Trump is trying to get people to believe that the post office is it's the only reason he's going to lose the election. It's like there's no possible way he can lose the election. So everything in corruption is forced into society to make sure that he loses the election through corruption. And so to him that's the only way it can happen, because he's a conspiracy idiot. And he created this. He created the whole thing. So it's just coming into play for him, as to how he could best say that there's no way that he can be taken out, because there's too much chaos on the week that we get to the election. Yeah, he's got it planned that way. But big problem, in comes the government, in comes other people, and they say, well, we're going to give you many millions of dollars or billions, and you need to keep things going, and we're going to bring the head of the post office in, and you either change your mind or you're fired. Yeah, so he changed his mind. Yeah, and he's not going to follow. He's going to put back the machines, and he's going to get more employees their money and everything, and he's going to take the $10 billion that they have in reserve, and he's going to start using that immediately. And this is without getting a bill, without getting anything from the government. And this is what's going on. Yeah, so this is not the plan of Trump. So by the time we get to the second week toward the election, we're going to find that, it's running like better than ever. Post office is like up and at it. They're running 24/7, and everybody's coming in, and people are dropping off their ballots, and a lot of people are just coming in to vote, and it's running like a miracle. Yeah, like something really brought harmony out of conflict. Yeah, and it brings people into a place to where they can vote, and that's where your sacral center sits. Can you vote? Do you have the right? Would that be restricted too? Your relationship to say, oh, I love this girl. No, you got to marry that one. That's where we're at in this world. Your lower self says, no, you got to marry that one. That one's a drunk. That one's an asshole. That one's going to tear you down forever. You're going to divorce her in 2.5 years. Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. But that's our life, our circumstances with these chakras. Yeah. We are moved into conflict, and we have no idea, whether or not to discern or discriminate, and is this the right thing to do? And shit keeps happening. Yeah. Yeah. So these influences are due to the chakras, and as these chakras start to heal, it makes major changes on the planet. Yeah. If we have a president who's oriented toward the light, and he has a vice president that's oriented toward right relationship to the law, yeah, and not corruption, and not actually has held very long processes of busting really bad people, that it's a good chance that we will be watching, an enormous number of people all the way, through the system, no matter where you're at, start being pulled out, by witness programs, by affiliation, connections, and all these different things just coming out all year long for years and years and years. We just spent time cleaning the swamp he said he was going to clean, because he's the swamp. Yeah. And all we got to do is just start investigating him. And it all leads everywhere, straight from him to everybody. Yeah. So that's going to be the cleaning. All right, so let's have a little prayer. Okay, just repeat after me. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus Christ, I open my heart today. I invite you to come inside. Come inside, O Lord, and save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you, my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, Jesus the Christ. Now, devil, the blood of Jesus is against you. I command you now to leave me. I don't belong to you. I am God's property. Leave my life. I disassociate myself from you. I renounce every evil covenant. I have entered in with you. In Jesus' name, I have received salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. Okay, when I start my Om, do your Om at the same time. Just relax and close your eyes. Okay, take a deep breath. I invoke the 7 rays to raise the senses of humanity, expressed as the soul. I invoke the sense of hearing in the 7th ray, hearing the word of God, the word of power. Sense of touch and the 1st ray as the finger of God. I invoke the sense of sight as the 3rd ray as the eye of God. As the 6th ray, as the desire of all the nations. invoke the sense of smell as the fourth ray, the beauty of revelation. I invoke the sense of intellect as the fifth ray, as the knowledge of God. I invoke the sense of intuition as the second ray, the understanding of God. I call upon the synthesis of the seven rays to be expressed through your personality. As the first ray of ideas, the mental body, the purpose, your life. Second ray of ideals, the astral body, and your quality. The third ray of idols, your physical body and your form. The fourth ray of the fourth kingdom of humanity in balance. The fifth ray, the third kingdom, the animals. The sixth ray, the second kingdom, vegetables. The seventh ray, the first kingdom, minerals. I call upon the relationships of all the kingdoms to penetrate the personality of humanity and express its collective soul. The seventh ray and the fourth ray as the mineral kingdom. The second ray, the fourth ray, and the sixth ray as the vegetable kingdom. The third ray and the sixth ray as the animal kingdom. The fourth ray and the fifth ray as the human kingdom. The fifth ray and the second ray as the egoic soul. The sixth ray and the third ray as planetary lives. The first ray and the seventh ray as solar lives. penetrate the planet Earth, to bring forth the geomantic relationships of the soul, to integrate the egoic ray and the personality ray of each nation, and to express its true expression, to make manifest peace on earth as one living whole body of God. I call upon India to bring forth its fourth ray of personality and to integrate its first ray of soul to manifest the hidden light. I invoke China to bring forth its third ray personality, to integrate its egoic soul into its first ray, to manifest as the indication of the way. I invoke Germany to bring forth its first ray of personality, to integrate its egoic soul of fourth ray, to preserve the truth. I invoke France and its third ray personality to integrate its fifth ray of egoic soul to release the light. I invoke Great Britain and its first ray personality and its second ray egoic soul to bring forth its service. I invoke Italy and its fourth ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to carve the two paths. I invoke the United States and its sixth ray personality to integrate its second ray soul to light the way. I invoke Russia and its sixth ray personality to integrate its seventh ray soul to link the two ways. I invoke Australia and its fifth ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul and serve the lighted way. I invoke Spain and its seventh ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to disperse the clouds. I invoke Brazil and its second ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul to hide the seed. I invoke the entity of this planet, the planetary logos, to incarnate the life and the beingness of this planet. I invoke the expression of the second ray force into both the personality and the egoic rays of the nation and the personality of the egoic ray of humanity, to fuse itself and its light into its healing process. I invoke the esoteric law of solar energy to make manifest the cosmic force of light, love, and peace. Okay, just relax. Okay, open your eyes. So, solar plexus is a very, very, very big thing in humanity. It's found in the Hebrew religion when Abraham was asked to kill his son. That was a solar plex thing. And it required the archangel Metatron to come and wrestle him, to stop him from killing his son, and explain to him it wasn't God that was telling him to do that. And that there's a loyalty in relationship to what was going on, fanatical recapitulation of previous behavior. People sacrifice in order to appease God. And so the sixth ray has in it a very strong influence on a quality inside of people that moves them to believe that this is absolute. Like Trump. He believes he's absolute. And that's because he has a lot of sixth rays. He has a sixth ray in most of his vehicles. It's pretty uncommon, to have that many sixth rays. He has a sixth ray way of communicating. And that's the kind of person that will, follow you to a door, and even though you're saying, leave me alone, they're right behind you. And they're screaming at you like, you don't have a right to keep me from speaking my mind. And then it goes to the point to where they grab you and throw you against the wall and beat the crap out of you. And they're again saying, you don't have the right to keep me from expressing myself. And then the person just shoots you. And they say, you don't have the right to keep me from judging you for what I believe you did wrong and how you should pay for it, because vengeance is in the eye of that Lord. These aren't God things, they're vice things. They're located in the solar plex. Why would anybody follow Hitler and do the things Hitler told them to do? Sixth ray, devotion, loyalty. Why do all the people behave the way they do around Trump? Because they'll either be murdered, slandered, fired, slandered, and possibly murdered. Forced to go to prison because they're carrying out crimes and things, and they think they're just being loyal to someone who knows better. And they're willing to take the chance. Look at all these people who are going to jail right now because of Trump. They're lining up. There's almost 7 or 8 of them. And there's still more. We haven't even gotten to the pervert relationship, and let alone the money process with Russia and the relationship of his children and the corruption of them even being involved in the presidency. That's got to come out. This is a very real illegal scenario. Putting your children in charge of the presidency, moving your wife to the side, who is supposed to be the first lady, who has a job and a responsibility to the nation. But you brought someone from Russia who's not even from here. She's an illegal immigrant in the eyes of yourself. You know? She hasn't had long enough time to be an American, to be standing in the White House saying that she's the wife to the president. That's illegal. It's illegal that she's in that White House. It's illegal. And that's not, I'm not against Russians or anybody of nationality. I'm against what's illegal. I mean, this is the President of the United States. You should have at least a generation or be born in America. It's just what's required. It's always been thought like that. But then come to find out, Trump comes into office and no one considers. But then he jumps up and says, well, I don't think this lady is legal to be vice president. And yet his wife is here because of a green card. That's it. She's the first lady, and she only has a green card. That's got to be the most illegal thing you can ever imagine. But we have no morals, and we judge everything by our solar plex. Yeah? And whatever we're told to do, whatever we're told to have seen, we're supposed to take it for face value. Because we're supposed to be loyal. And if you're not, he will fire you, or he will find you, and he will discredit you, and he will ruin you. Yeah? It's just scarier than shit, but it's true. It's just the way it is. And his wife knows it, and his children know it. And that's why they're the most loyal, because they're in the most danger. You know, there's no happy moment in any surrounding area of that man, because he's not who you think he is. And over the next 5 years, you're going to come to find out who he really is. You won't know him from heaven for who he really is. You won't know him from his past lives for who he really is. But you will know him for who he is in this life, and the harm he's done to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. In this life alone, he's done more damage than Mussolini and Hitler combined. Yeah. And he's on his way. If we keep him as president, we will reach a 3 million mile mark on 3 million people dying from this virus. We'll reach it. Because it's totally incomprehensible to reality that he would bring about the fostering of vaccines that actually work and wouldn't put us into a false hope. Because that's what he does. That's all he does, is give us false hope. You know, so we have a 99% chance of whatever comes up with this guy is going to have, not an effect that we're expecting. Yeah. So if anything's going to work for us, it's going to be that he's no longer in office. And we move toward a whole new revelation. And we bring this into right reality. Yeah. And that's all depending on your level of loyalty. Yeah. Everybody's level of loyalty. And if the amount of energy that's going out from me, into this planet for the purpose of your future, I'm looking at hundreds of years into the future and all the things that will be made manifest by everybody in their inventive, creative minds of life. Yeah, all those things will take place if we keep going and we follow the right path. Yeah, so there is a path. Yeah, it's all laid out. It's just a matter of making sure we're not following loyalty in relationship to the dark hand path that is all filled with chaos. Yeah, and no reasoning, nothing. It's just intellectuality. Yeah, and blind faith. And loyalty to bullshit fear that you have to believe in because you're so afraid you can't see beyond it. It's cataclysmic. It's apocalyptic. That's fear. Yeah, unless we're in an apocalypse, what's the reason to think of it? Yeah, it's the worst possible fear. It's the fear that brings about the thought form of an apocalypse. It's a fear. Wait until it happens, folks. Then get there, then deal with it. But don't be afraid of an accident every time you walk out and get in your car. Yeah, fear alone, it's a horrible thing. Yeah, and he is drawn to make sure that you're seeing his fear in you, so that you get so caught up, you're not sure what you're to do and how you're to do it. So if you hear anything from Biden or anything from this or that, it draws people into more and more and more along the line of jealousy or enviousness, or I can't stand Biden, and there's no reasoning behind it. He's the sweetest guy in the world. Everything he says and does is sweet and love, But yet, because of that influence of the solar plex, it pushes a person to prejudice and bias and hate. Even if it's an angel standing before you, all of a sudden, all you could see is the devil. Yeah? And it could drive you nuts. And it will drive these people crazy. If the rest of society doesn't see over it and make the right choices and lift these poor people up who are suffering from committing their wrong relationships to this left-hand path. Yeah, that's the only way they'll be saved, is that we have to lift them up. Yeah, we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid of them. We can't be afraid any of it's true. They're taking minor truths, real truths that are out there. There are people who are really evil. There are people who really do evil things. Yeah, and it seems like it's a conspiracy, and it is involved in great riches and other things and satanic ceremonies. All that does exist. But you can't label it into a specific category and think that it is what they say it is. These are certain things that are going on that we are completely not aware of, and they're not connected to other things that we think are involved in it, like a mass Illuminati conspiracy. Instead, it's Satanism. And it's been there all along. It's been there for a long, long time. Aleister Crowley and many others, yeah? And it's in all kinds of areas. But it's not what they're putting out. It's not what's controlling the world, yeah? It's creating a dark lodge. It's creating a lie, an illusion. And it moves people toward more greed and more corruption and more glamour, yeah? And that's the real thing. It's not about the evil people in that way, as though it's a group. In reality, it's a manifestation of glamour made manifest by Satanism, by witchcraft, and by others. Common people who practice astrology, play with a Ouija board, those who open the door create a disease. And it's manifested, and it turns out to be this intellectual process to where they start thinking that they know what's going on, and they call it this thing. When in reality, they're not saying for what it really is. It's Satanism, period. It's a totally different door, a totally different scenario. Yeah? And Trump is just a puppet of that channeled effect. And so is all the rest of things that go on in a lot of different ways to those glamours. But has nothing to do with an intellectual knowing of manifesting some group like an Illuminati. Yeah, it's not that organized. Yeah, they're all a bunch of idiots. They're all carrying out their superstitious realm satanic ceremonies. They're not interconnected to each other in most cases. They're just a bunch of witches and warlocks carrying out their shit. Yeah, and a lot of rich people doing some really weird stuff in order to get more money or make manifest material things. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time, but it has nothing to do with what these people are putting out. That's a whole other game, a whole other scenario. And for us to heal, we need not to be afraid of those circumstances. Yeah, And we need to offer a relationship for people to be aware of the fact that Christ is on earth. Yeah? Try an etheric weaver. Try listening to the music. You might be amazed. Yeah? And every time we move more and more in that direction, just to help people in that way, it changes. We have people who are helping people who are homeless, people who are giving sandwiches away. We're also giving etheric weavers away. We're giving, solar forms away to these people because they're very, by nature, as is everybody, they're receptive. And it's not a matter of choosing, people, they have to buy or do whatever they have to do. It's a matter of healing. Yeah? And I'm really interested in getting these things into anybody's hands because it will make a difference in the world. Yeah, whether they're people laying on the street or people who have means or houses or a business. Yeah, to me, it's people. Yeah, and each one has a soul of the same magnitude that can make a difference on the earth. It's not about your material scenario. It's about you. And there has to be worth. And that's the part that I play in. So that people can sustain their worth and gain back their self-worth and not have it taken from them the way we're in this world today. I mean, you have no idea. It's not an Illuminati thing, but it is a lot of shit. Yeah, a lot of shit. Okay? So enjoy.